You know, we hear about AI constantly, but today we're going to connect the dots in a way you probably haven't seen before. We're going to follow the money, we're going to follow the energy and the power to really understand how this race for artificial intelligence is fundamentally changing the world we live in.
Elon Musk said this at Davos recently, and honestly, he hit the nail on the head. This one sentence perfectly captures the spark for a massive global shift. See, this isn't just about code and algorithms anymore. It's about the raw, physical power needed to make it all work. And that single need is creating these huge ripple effects all across the globe.
So here's the core idea for you. We are witnessing a fundamental change in the world order. And it's not being driven by old-school politics or ideologies. Nope. It's being driven by this new power trio: computing, the energy to run that computing, and the massive, massive pools of capital that are deciding where it all gets built.
And the sheer scale of the energy we're talking about, it's just staggering. In the US alone, AI data centers are projected to eat up somewhere between 10 and 12% of the entire nation's electricity. Think about that. That's a huge leap from just 2% today. It just begs the question, right? Where is all that new energy going to come from?
Well, to answer that, we have to understand who's footing the bill. And it's this force called transnational capital. The easiest way to think about it is as these gigantic pools of money, like sovereign wealth funds from the Gulf, that aren't really tied to any single country. They invest so much money that they can actually start to influence corporate and even political policy on a global scale.
And here's exactly how it works. These funds, they co-invest in everything from the tech companies building the AI to the actual infrastructure that powers it. Get this, foreign entities now control over $65 trillion in US assets. And with that kind of investment comes real influence. We're talking board seats, a say in policy. It's a fundamental shift where global power isn't just about who has the strongest military anymore, but who controls the flow of money.
So, how does this new power structure actually play out in the real world? Well, it's literally redrawing the map and creating new flashpoints in some pretty unexpected places.
This whole abstract demand for AI energy, it has very real, very physical consequences. All of a sudden, remote places are becoming incredibly valuable. And a perfect case in point is Greenland. It's not just a giant sheet of ice anymore. It's now a strategic battleground in the Arctic. And it's precisely because of this new global race.
So why Greenland? Well, from a military point of view, it comes down to this: the GIUK gap. This is a critical maritime choke point that NATO uses to keep an eye on Russia's powerful northern fleet and, more importantly, its nuclear submarines as they try to move out into the Atlantic. For Western defense, controlling this area is absolutely non-negotiable. But it's not just about military position. Greenland is basically a treasure trove. It's sitting on vast deposits of rare earth minerals that are essential for our tech, which could seriously reduce reliance on China. And as the ice melts, new shipping routes, like the Northwest Passage, are opening up. This is exactly why the US just locked in a deal for unlimited military access there, a move that, as you can imagine, has really raised tensions with Russia.
Okay, so we've seen the geopolitical friction, but what is all this computing power and all this energy actually building? Let's take a look at how AI is physically starting to show up in our world.
For years, AI has been this thing that just lives in the cloud, right? Some abstract software somewhere. Well, that's over. At major tech shows, the trend is undeniable. AI is getting a physical body. We're talking about advanced humanoid robots that are ready to clock in and go to work.
And here it is. Meet the new, fully electric Atlas robot from Boston Dynamics. This is not a prototype just for cool viral videos anymore. I mean, look at these specs. It's 199 centimeters tall, weighs 90 kilos, and can lift 50 kilograms. But the real game changer is the tactile sensors in its hands, which let it handle everything from heavy car parts to fragile objects with incredibly precise control.
So where's it going? Not to a research lab. The very first deployment for this new generation of Atlas is the factory floor. They are literally going to be put to work in Hyundai auto plants doing real manufacturing tasks. The era of the robotic workforce, it's not coming. It's here.
So we have this incredible technological race going on, but what about the financial system that's funding it all? Well, it turns out the system itself is built on a fascinating and maybe slightly terrifying paradox.
all the money for the data centers, for the robots, for these huge geopolitical deals. It all flows through the global banking system. But that system has this strange double-edged sword right at its core, and it revolved around something we all just take for granted: deposit insurance.
Here's the paradox, and this comes straight from World Bank research. During normal, good times, deposit insurance creates what's called a moral hazard. Basically, since everyone's deposits are insured, banks feel less pressure to be super careful, so they tend to take on more risk, making the whole system more fragile. But then, during a crisis, that same insurance does the opposite. It has a stabilization effect, preventing panic and bank runs, and it holds the system together.
But here's the kicker. The research concludes that the overall impact of this system is actually negative. Why? Well, just look at the quote here. The destabilizing effect during normal times is actually greater than the stabilizing effect during a crisis. So the very system that's funding this entire AI revolution is, by its very design, engineered with a net negative risk feature. Wild, right?
So, what does this all mean when you put it together? This brings the whole picture into focus. Let's take a look at the new global chessboard that's emerging from all these different forces.
Okay, so here's the cascade effect we just walked through. You see how it all connects? It starts with this incredibly energy-hungry AI race. That demand then creates intense geopolitical friction over resources in new places like the Arctic. The technology being developed is now physically showing up as humanoid robots ready to join the workforce, and the whole thing is being funded by these massive flows of transnational capital through a banking system that has risk baked right into its foundation.
And that leaves us with one final and pretty crucial question. As our world becomes more and more shaped by these intelligent machines and the placeless, borderless capital that funds them, it really forces us to ask who or what is actually in control anymore.